All right, my beautiful people, this is ERGJ here, and we're just kind of seeing what's going on. Let's see if I got started. I'm not quite sure if this is working just yet or not. I think I'm here. So Conspiracy Brother is here again, and tonight we'll be actually looking at the Freddy Gray and the Freddy Gray and the Marilyn Mosby case. So the Freddy Gray case that just took place. We're gonna be looking at that with the with Marilyn Mosby, who was the attorney for Freddy Gray. So this is pretty cool. Just wanted to see. Okay, all right. Wanted to see if this was working. I got the chat up. See if anybody jumps in. So as we get started, guys. Again, I'm ERGJ Conspiracy Brothers, the ERGJ TV, and really want to just take a time to just kind of set everything up. I'm gonna be sharing some stuff on the screen, so I got to see if that works. If that works, then we'll go right into it. But I just want you guys to understand that, to know that it's okay for you to think. It's okay for you to think differently. It's okay for you to pay attention to your, hey Jasmine, how are you? To pay attention to your curiosity. I think that I was talking to someone earlier, and we were talking about a case that took place. And his first question was, well, why would this person do this? And it was about the case with Anna Darkin, who had tampered with over 40,000 she was a chemist, and she tampered with over 40,000 drug tests, and ended up sending thousands of people to school. I mean, to prison. So he was like, well, why would she do that, right? And I'm like, well, you'll use your imagination. Like, why would somebody do something like that? Right. So everything is a conspiracy until it becomes true. What's going on, Mark? So I got my chat up over there. Everything is conspiracy until it becomes true. But I think that what has happened is mainstream television, newspapers, radio, it's all caused us to not imagine anymore. So in other words, a television is tell a vision. So it tells us a vision, which causes us not to have visions of our own, causes us not to have dreams of our own, causes us not to fantasize on our own. Or if we do, we fantasize on what's been fed to us versus what's inside of us. Let me say that again. We fantasize based off what has been fed to us versus what is inside of us. And so I was saying to myself, man, he really is still in the box. It's hard for some people to imagine, to think and say, man, what am I seeing? And then also to do what we call critical thinking. A school system didn't teach us critical thinking. So we have to start to develop it on our own. And a way in which we do that is we have to break free from the matrix. Now, what is the real matrix? The real matrix, guys, is our mind. Our mind is in a box. And so until our mind gets outside of a box, that's when we can actually start to think different. Now, here's the deal. If you look at Apple, their slogan is think differently. It's interesting. Like there's things out there that's telling us to think differently, but we still don't necessarily think differently. So as we talk about conspiracy theories and things like that, I looked it up, and the conspiracy theory, basically the definition of it is a belief that some covert but influential organization is responsible for a circumstance or event. The belief that some covert organization is responsible, influential organization is responsible for a circumstance or event. Now, everything isn't a conspiracy, but it's okay to wonder. Why? Because you've seen it in the past. And if we've seen it in the past, it's likely that it's still happening today, or it's possible for it to happen today. What will make them stop doing what they have done in the past if what they have done in the past has worked? And if 99.9% of the American public don't believe that they still would operate in a particular way. So what we're going to do, we're going to hop right into this, man, because I want to get right into this. We're going to be looking at things by the numbers. We're going to look at this Freddy Gray case, some things that I found, and I'm going to share some things and show you guys some of the things that I've learned. And my goal is for other people to take what I've learned and to expand it, because if I'm only one person doing this, then it's going to be hard for us, for me to just figure it out all by myself. But if many people are working and trying to figure this out, we have collective knowledge, and it's collective knowledge that we can start to understand their game plan. When I say their, I'm talking about the elite. I'm talking about the people who own and control everything in our society. We can begin to understand their language. We can begin to understand their plans. Then it will put us in a position that we can actually use our knowledge and make it wisdom so that we can have power. So that's why I do what I do. There's a lot of people that's had these thoughts, but for some reason they didn't have a place in order to voice it. And so that's kind of why I'm here. So let me know if you guys, I'm going to share my screen right now. Let me know if you guys can see my screen, because I don't know whether it's working or not. So let's see here. Can you guys, who's here? Can you see my screen? Let's see here. Can you see my screen? Yeah. Yes, you can see my screen. I think you can see my screen. Let's see. Can you still see my, did it change? It didn't change. What's going on? Oh, it did change. Just take a little while. Okay. Takes a little while. All right. So, all right, let me see here. Let me go over here and make sure I got my chat. All right. So here's the deal. 1 second. All right. Okay, I think I got it. You can see can you see my screen? Can you see it? All right, let's hop right into this. I think you can see my screen. I don't know who's here. I'm trying to look at chat. I'm trying to do everything. If you can see my screen, that's great. All right, so here's the deal, guys. We first start here talking about propaganda. Propaganda it's a law that was passed in 2012, 2013 that made propaganda, the use of propaganda, legal for the United States government to use it against American people. Hey, Crystal. I think Mark's still here. And so what that means, guys, is that that is now legal for the government to lie to us. It's legal for them to lie to us. So the U.S. government has unbound illegal regulations against using propaganda against the foreign audiences and American citizens. Here's the most important part you need to know. The intention is to sway public opinion, by using television, radio, newspapers, social media targeting the American and foreign people in controlled psyops. So sway our opinion using the media in controlled psyops. Now, what is controlled psyops? Controlled psyops are scripted events, staged events, psyops, psychological operations, messes with our mind. Scripted events or staged events to mess with our mind. Now, think Hollywood. Think real life Hollywood. Like there's a director, he puts together a script, and people go out and fulfill that script. That would be a controlled psyop. So we use these big national media organizations, which is controlled by those that are the elite, right? If you look at CNN, that's Ted Turner. If you look at Fox, that's Rupert Murdoch. These are people that's high up in the chain of command. NBC, CNN, Fox News, ABC, all of your national media outlets. Why do they use the national media outlets? Because that's the way they can sway the opinions of most of the American people that still watch mainstream TV. They don't want to use a local station because that won't sway everybody in America. You see, that won't sway everybody in foreign audiences. They got to use the mainstream media in order to push forth their message or their narrative or their story in order to sway public opinion. Now, why would they do that? Well, they do that in order to stir us up, to keep us in conflict with one another, because if we are in conflict, then that puts us into chaos. That causes us to go into chaos, to do irrational things. And they want chaos with the poor, with the sheep, with the people on the bottom of the totem pole, the bottom of the pyramid, because they believe in a phrase called order out of chaos. You've probably heard George Bush say that before, order out of chaos. So they want all of the people fighting against one another, because if the people come together, then they could actually come together and take over. But they don't want the people to think at some point in time that they could actually do something against this system. So they keep us fighting one another through division. Now, what is division? Division is going to be Blue Lives Matter versus Black Lives Matter, Christian versus Muslim, black versus white, gay versus straight. Whatever it is, whatever kind of division you can think of, there's probably some more out there, heterosexual versus homosexual, whatever you can think of, that's a division amongst people, rich against poor, or middle class versus poor class, because the highest class, they don't really bicker with one another. They all got money, but it's really middle class against the poor class. So if they can keep us divided by using all of these controlled psyops to get us, guess what, guys? When you go on a march or when you go out into the public to try and voice your opinion on how you feel about a certain thing, have you ever seen them with us? Do you see the rich people come out with us? No. So if someone goes to jail or if something happened, it's going to be a poor person that finds himself in jail. It's going to be a poor person that finds themselves shot by the cops. You ever seen a rich person get shot by the cops? No, that doesn't happen. There's a reason for that. The target is to keep the general public, which is the poor people, in line with their controlled psyops. I think I said that enough. All right, so let's go into the Freddy Gray case. And as we look at this, there's two numbers that I want you to understand, or I want you to keep in mind. The number is 33 and the number is 44. Now, why? Well, there's another language that the elite speak. Typically, that language is numerology. They speak in numbers. They speak in signs. I hate this pop-up stuff. Come on. They speak in numbers. They speak in signs. And they speak in symbols. Now, I know for some, it's like, man, we speak English. Yes, but you got to understand there was a language before English. There was a language before English. Think about Egypt and the hieroglyphs. They had symbols. They had numbers. They had things that meant something. Matter of fact, even today, we still have the same thing. If you think sign language, that's another language that's spoken without words. If me, I'm African-American. If I meet another African-American, we got our own little type of language that we understand with the head nod or with the dap or whatever the case may be. If you think about cops, when they call in their codes to the dispatcher, they call them in numbers. That's another language that they know that they speak, a 187 or a 225 or whatever it is that they speak to the dispatcher to let them know if it's urgent or whatever that code means. I don't know that code. So there are codes that are still being used in today's society. So it wouldn't be beyond us to believe that codes are still being used in today's society. Does that make sense? Crystal, Mark, I don't know who else is here. So there's still codes that are being used in society, and we can validate that because we know it's happening still. So they speak in numbers. They speak in signs and they speak in symbols, and all that they've done, and they really have stolen a lot from Egypt, a lot of their signs, and they made them their own. They twisted them and gave them some their own little twist on it. But needless to say, what I want to talk about today is 33 and 44. So 33, that is a number that's significant to what they call the Freemasons. It's a significant number, which is the highest degree, the third degree, because numbers, they look at this number 11 as a prime number, and 11 times 3 is 33. So it's the third degree. Once you get 11, once you get to 22, and once you get to 33 degrees. So if you think about any fraternity or sorority, they typically have levels that they go through. We see something called hazing in a fraternity. That's them initiating someone into the fraternity. And then they also have their initiates do other things along the way to prove that they're loyal to the fraternity and that they can be trusted to come into the fraternity. It's the same way with this quote unquote secret society. So I don't want you guys to think that it's beyond something like this to happen when we see it happening in our life today. We just won't equate it to something that we don't understand. We'll only equate it to something that we see. And so I think most of us understand a sorority. Most of us understand a fraternity. Most of us understand like a cops, like the SHIELD, like the police force. They have to go through something in order to become a police officer. That's their initiation. They call it whatever it is, it's duty or whatever. To be in an army, you got to go through your PT and boot camp and all that stuff. They got to go through that to get in the army. There's an initiation into that society, into that association. If you want to be in the NBA, you got to go through the draft. You got to play 1 year in college, and you got to go through the draft. That's your initiation into the association. So there are plenty of associations that we know of, and there are plenty of different things that you have to do as it relates to those associations before you can get in. Same thing with this society. So don't think, oh, it's a secret society, when in reality, we see all different types of societies, and many of them we may not even know are going on. So 33 is the highest degree of Freemasonry. It's a significant number to them. And then 44, I want you to equate that 44 to Obama. Obama is the 44th president. So we have the 44th president. During his term, we've seen a lot of injustice. We've seen the Freddy Grays. We've seen the Tamir Rice. We've seen these events that happen to more often than not, young black men, and we have a black president. So there's a lot of connection to Obama and the things that we've seen rapidly during his term. So think Obama when you hear 44. I'm gonna call it the occult of Obama, or the occult of 44, and then we have the occult of 33. So let's get into this case. So a couple other things I want to bring up. I got a chart here for you guys. This chart is a numerology chart. We'll come back to this chart very often, just to look at some things. For example, we're looking at the CNN station. So we got C being 3. We got N. Oh, what did I do? Sorry about that. We got N being 5 and N being 5. So CNN would be 3 plus 5 plus 5. That would be 13. Unlucky number 13 for CNN, just to give you an example. So we come back to that chart, and then I'll also be pulling up this chart. This is what we call a numerology calculator. So when we put in words, it'll give us a number or a number valuation for that particular word. So we're talking about the Freddy Gray case. And I'm not going to go through the whole story. We know what happened. He got the officers got acquitted. We had 3 of the 6 officers that were acquitted, right? 3 of the 6. Down here, we had 3 of the 6 officers acquitted. So if you take 3 of 6, 3 of 6, that would be saying something like 3 6s. And if you have 3 6s, then you got 6, 6, 6. 3 6s. Isn't that interesting? 3 of 6, 3 6s, 3 6, like a 3-6 mafia. If you're from down south, what that was. 3-6 mafia was 666. Same thing here. 3 6 will be a code of 366. And for y'all that are Christians that read the Bible, that's the mark of the beast. For those that don't, they actually that's a big number as it relates to anarchy, as it relates to destruction. The 666 sign. All right, so as we look through this story, again, we had three of the 6, 3 6, 3 6, 666 that were charges dropped, and we had some that were acquitted. And we saw that the attorney for Gray, from Freddy Gray, she was the Baltimore State Attorney. Baltimore is in Maryland. Her name was Marilyn. Isn't that interesting? Baltimore, Maryland, and her name is Marilyn. Marilyn Mosby. So her name is Marilyn Mosby. That name, the first 2 letters of both her first and her last name is M and M. If you were to take the M and you were to turn it 90 degrees sideways, then it would look, you would have a 3. If you take an M and you turn it 90 degrees sideways, you will have a 3. So that would be 3 3 for MM. MM equals 3 3. If you would take the M and you say, okay, well, what's the numerology on the M? M would be in the 4th position. We'll go 1 through 9, A through I, come back around, J, K, L, M. M will be in the 4th position. So Marilyn Monroe or Marilyn Mosby would be 4 4. Very same to Marilyn Monroe. Very same to Mickey Mouse. 4 4 or 3 3. There's a connection between 3 3 and 4 4. The occult of 33. The occult of 44. We're going to get into why that's. We're going to get into some connections with that in just a little bit, but I wanted to make sure that you saw that. MM. She said in her statements that the decision was agonizing. Whenever we see something kind of highlighted, it tells us that we can go and see what they mean by this word. So I'm gonna pull up my little numerology calculator. I'm gonna put in the word agonizing. Agonizing in the Chaldean numerology equals 33. I think it's like I'm changing screens, but maybe it's going a little bit slow, so I'm gonna wait on it. So agonizing in numerology, Chaldean numerology, is 33. I'm still waiting on it to pull up. Maybe that calculator didn't come up. So agonizing, which is a word that the national media highlighted, its numerology is 33. What else did we find here? So we got 33, we got 44. We found that Mosby, she comes from a long line of police officers. So this would be a question you got to ask yourself. Okay, Mosby, are you more loyal to your to the shield, being that you come through a bloodline of police officers, or are you more loyal to your client? This is what makes me believe that Mosby is a puppet. She is a patsy. She was put into this position. And I also continue to tell you why I believe she was put into this position to lose this case and to go down with this case. She was selected to be the attorney here. She's a state attorney. They could have selected any state attorney, but they chose the state attorney who was in the occult of 33, the occult of 44, Obama, who is from a long line of police officers. You guys following me? I'm trying to see how many people I got here. Okay. Long line of police officers. All right. So we've seen that. So there was also a comment that said that the prosecutor's comment said it was outrageous. So when we look up the word outrageous in Chaldean numerology, the word outrageous equals 44. Isn't that interesting? 33 and 44, just taken from what the news is giving us. We've got agonizing, which was Chaldean numerology of 33. Outrageous, which they highlighted in the story, was Chaldean numerology of 44. We got 36, like 36 Mafia, 666. That code was in the story. We got Marilyn Mosby. Turn that M sideways. M equals a 3. You got 33, the occult of 33. Keep the M the way it is, and you've got numerology of 4, 4, 4. Again, the occult of 44, the 44th president being Obama. Obama being significant with this age of police killing young blacks on duty and getting away with it. You see the connection there. All in the numbers. All in the numbers. We see that Marilyn Mosby would come from a long list of police officers. She is in her family. She's worked. She understands how the shield works. Matter of fact, up here in the story, it said in the beginning, they changed it in the story, but they talked about a fraternal order of the police before they updated the story. That they spoke from a fraternal order of the police, meaning that the police itself is a society. And we know that. We don't know what happens behind those closed doors and those police, are off duty. It says right here, the fraternal order of the police. So that tells us that the police, that police structure is a brotherhood, the shield. It's a society itself. And I would say it's pretty secret because we don't know what goes on in that society. Would you agree? So making the connection again, 44 and 33. Now, I'm not going to belabor on that too long because we know that today came out that Marilyn Mosby has, that everyone is, the 3 officers are suing her. That's why I said that she's the patsy. She's the person that was sacrificed to go down with this case in order to keep the brotherhood alive and keep the cops who may have been the killers of Freddy Gray out of jail to make sure that, you know what I mean? Like she was the one that was sacrificed for them in order for them to continue to do what they do, which is carry out the orders of their bosses. And I would venture to say that Ms. Mosby is, you might think she's going to be fired to be out of a job, but I can guarantee you she'll have another good job after this. She just won't be the state attorney. And we'll see what happens. That's something we have to come back to in 6 months, 9 months, see what she's doing. Now, here's what's interesting, what I found about Mosby. You just go to Wikipedia. They tell us everything straight up front. She has 5 generations of her family were in law enforcement. Her grandfather was one of the first African-American police officers in Massachusetts. Let me see if I can blow this up. I think y'all can see it. So her name is Marilyn James Mosby. You guys see that? And I didn't do the J. I didn't know what the J was. I thought that might have been interesting. 4, 4, 8, 9. So look at this. MJM. 4, 1, and 4. So that's 8 and 1. That's 9. And if you take 3 times 3, that equals 9. Again, hello, the cult of 33. I was just talking about your emergency. Let's see if we got that. You guys get that? Her name is Marilyn James Mosby. M is 4. J is 1. M is 4. That's 9. 3 times 3 equals 9. So still connections to the occult of 33. You guys get that? You guys ain't typing in the chat. Y'all just learning? Y'all taking notes or something? Just want to make sure you guys are here. All right, cool. So getting back to this, she's 5 generations of law or of her family in law enforcement. So you got to ask yourself, Wouldn't you think if she has 5 generations of family in the law enforcement that she is hip to the game at this point? I mean, I know she gave a great speech. I know that it was all full of drama and full of excitement, and she was mad. Great acting, in my opinion. But I believe that Marilyn James Mosby was in on this in order to continue with the narrative and the story of the Acquittal 44 or the Acquittal of Obama, in order to make sure that we continue to have conflict. That's the whole goal. They don't care who they sacrifice. They don't care who goes down. They don't believe that Freddy Gray life was valuable. He's probably on the low end of the totem pole as it relates to what they believe, what they care about. I'm talking about the upper elite. They don't care about our life. What they care about is keeping people in conflict, keeping us fighting one another so that they continue to push forth their laws, push forth their agenda. What's their agenda? Well, we got a couple of agendas that we know of right now. Number one is gun control. They want all the guns out of the American people's hands. Why? So they can totally control us. They want us fighting. Why? So they can bring in a state of emergency, which ultimately will lead to martial law. Why? If you get to martial law, you can suspend the people's rights. Why would they do that? Again, for total control. These people want total control. The goal is for them to have a power of one. Now, why do I say that? A power of one. If you remember, the World Trade Center used to be 2 buildings. It was constructed in 1968. That building came down in 2001 and 9/11. Do anyone want to guess what 2001 minus 1968 is? 33. Again, the code of 33. Now, what did they do with that? That building came down and they constructed a one World Trade Center. The power of one. They want one financial system. They want one government. They want one religion. They want one gender. They want everyone to be unisex. This is why you see the proliferation of transgender. So no one knows if they're men or women, and everyone operates as a unisex. What does that do? That causes you to stop populating the world. They're trying to depopulate the world. There's so many agendas that's going on, but these are like the ultimate agendas. All the little conflicts that you see are just keeping people in chaos while they create order. Order out of chaos. This is the 33rd degree, the highest degree of Freemasonry. This is their slogan. Order out of chaos. This is the same society that George Bush came out of, that his father came out of, that Senator Kerry came out of. When we talk about skull and bones, order out of chaos. Just the Georgia Guidestones talk about reducing the population by 90%. This is their plan. So the reason why I'm studying this, because I'm a believer in it. It tells me that I should understand the enemy, and I should expose his works. In other words, bring it to light so that other people can understand what the plan is. And if we can all come together and understand the playbook of our enemy, right? They know our playbook. They know that we're going to, as soon as we get some conflict, we're going to march, we're going to protest, we're going to riot, and nothing's going to change. But we got to start having a different playbook so that we can attack strategically against our oppressors. And when I'm talking about oppressors, guys, I'm not just talking about black people. I'm talking about everybody. Everybody that's poor, everybody that is slave to debt. You are my brother and you are my sister. I don't care what color you are. If you are a slave to debt, then we are brothers and sisters, because that's what it's against. It's about rich people, the top 1%, against the rest of the 99%. There's no middle class as it relates to them. They're talking $400 trillion. They're talking about owning and controlling the movies, the media, the school system, the religion, the government, the police, the Secret Service, the Army, the Navy. They control all of that. So they don't care about our little $25 an hour. You get it? All right. So here's what I found that was interesting. I want to bring to your attention. Marilyn James Mosby, again, MJM, that equaled 9. 3 times 3 equals 9. Again, connection to 33, the highest degree in Freemasonry. She was 5 generations of law enforcement, which tells us she knows the game. She is part of the shield. Believe it or not. I know it's hard to believe this beautiful young sister will be a part of the shield, but I think I've given you enough information as it relates to the numbers where you can connect it to the shield. We see that her name was Marilyn, and she was the state attorney for Baltimore, Maryland. Isn't that interesting? Her grandfather was the first African-American police officer in Massachusetts, another M. Isn't that interesting? Now, her name was Marilyn James before she got married. And I said, okay, well, who did you marry? She married a guy named Nick Mosby. Now, this is going to really freak you guys out, and this is a stretch. So I looked up Nick Mosby. I said, well, who is Nick Mosby? Nick Mosby's name is Nicholas James Nick Mosby. And I said, well, isn't that interesting? She's got a last name of James. He's got a middle name of James. Now, I'm not drawing any inferences on that just yet, but what I found interesting was the parent. It said her parent's name was Eunice Orange. And I said, well, how did he get the name Mosby if the parent's name was Eunice Orange? I don't know. That's something I'm going to have to look up later. But Eunice Orange. Does anybody want to guess what orange is in numerology? I don't know if this is coming up. Is this coming up for you guys? I know I'm putting it there. All right, it's not coming up. Let me pull up another screen and we'll look at it in another one. So if you want to look up gematria or calculator, you can go to this place called ridingthebeast.com, and it'll be a link, and you can just put in a word and look it up. So I'm pulling it up for you guys because it's not showing on my little calculator. So yeah, so orange, if in English reduction, equals 33. See, the connections are coming back to this 33. So Eunice Orange, which is Nicholas James Mosby's parent, I'm wondering how he got the last name Mosby. Now, this is a stretch, and I know it's going to get me in trouble, but I understand that in the occult, they operate very similar to like vampires. They mate their siblings or their cousins. So I'm taking a stretch here, and I'm going to say that quite possibly Nicholas James and Marilyn James could be related, and they married into the occult of 33. I don't know that to be true. That's a stretch. That is a true conspiracy theory. I can't confirm that, but I'm wondering, where did Nick get his last name Mosby? And we understand it in Hollywood, you can get a name from anywhere. They can just give you a name. Jesse the Body Ventura, Hulk Hogan, all of these characters have names that are not their names. Matter of fact, Barack Obama, his name isn't his name. His name was Barry Soetoro. Bill Clinton, his name was not his name. He got a name of Bill Blythe. His name was changed to Bill Clinton. Anybody want to guess what Clinton is in numerology? Clinton. 33. Isn't that interesting? So what I'm saying, guys, is that they speak a different language. They code these things together, and this is why I think that Miss Clinton, Hillary Clinton, will be the next president, because she has the name that attaches to 33. I also believe that next year, if we do get a new president, we still may not get a new president, but if we do, then we'll see the coding change from 44 to what? To 45. It'll go along with the presidency, and the coding will go along with the new president, the head of the state or the head of the country. If we get a new president, there's still some rumblings that we might not see a new president, but Clinton is 33. So this is why I believe that Hillary Clinton will be the next president. Not only that, but she has funding from people like Warren Buffett. The Rothschilds are funding her campaign. She has a lot of money behind her, and it looks like Trump is really trying to throw his campaign, but people like his honesty, even though he's really trying to destroy his own campaign. So I thought that was interesting. We got Marilyn Mosby, 44, connected to the 44th president, and Obama is the 44th president. During his 2 terms, we've seen the Tamir Rice, we've seen the Eric Garner, we've seen the Philandro Castile, we've seen the Alston Sterling, we've seen the Freddy Gray, we've seen the Trayvon Martin. All of those have happened under Obama's 2 terms, his 8 years. The year or the occult of Obama, obviously having a black president and seeing young black men being downed by the establishment for which Obama reigns, which would be the police. Is that making sense? So it's no wonder why to me that we're seeing a lot of this police brutality. It's no wonder to me why we're seeing a lot of them get off. I don't think there'll be another president either. I think that they're trying to get us to martial law, very similar to our allies. When you look at our allies like Turkey, they're getting close to martial law. When you look at our allies like France, they're getting close to martial. They're already in a state of emergency. What that tells me, that's called predictive programming, and they're trying to bring us into they're trying to get our minds prepared for it by looking at it in other countries that we're connected to, United Kingdom. So 33. So I forgot where I was at. So Obama being 44, and which tells me that Philando Castile and Austin Sterling are going to see the same thing happen. They're going to be the cops or whoever was charged with killing them on duty will get the same treatment that all the rest of these stories have gotten. They will get off. And we see one prominent person that will, what's her name? Glenda Hatchett is the former Judge Hatchett, who is an actress, right? She was an actress on her film, on her show, which is Judge Hatchett. So now we have an actress, a well-established actress, who just happens to be a judge, who will now be the attorney for Philando Castile. Now think about this. Philando Castile, who was the biggest spokesperson before Hatchett took over? It was the loudmouth. The one, the Miss New York, right? Diamond Lavish Reynolds, right? Y'all remember her? She was on TV every day running her mouth. She was the spokesperson, or she was the entertainment, very similar to how Trump is the entertainment for the RNC. She was the entertainment for that story. She kept that story going until we can get to Glenda Hatchett, who was the next actress to keep that story going. Now, anybody want to guess what Diamond's name is in numerology? So Diamond's name in numerology. Yeah, where is she now? That's a good question. You put Diamond in and put that into numerology. Guess what that equals? 33. So again, it's not a coincidence. And all I did was I looked at the story that they presented us. I started breaking down some of the things that they highlighted. I didn't even look at Wise's decision. I don't know what that is. I haven't looked at that. That might be something else, but no point in not looking at it now. We look at that in Chaldean numerology. That's going to be 44. Y'all don't have I don't think y'all have the Chaldean calculator up, but if we put it in the Chaldean numerology, I don't know why it's not showing on the screen, but Chaldean numerology, Wise decision equals 44, connected to Obama, the occult of Obama, and then we have the occult of 33, or Freemasonry, or the cult of Orange. It's no coincidence, and I'm just kind of finding this stuff out. I'm putting this out for other people who are looking for truth that can help decode some of these numbers. I can't do it myself. I do what I can, but it's not a coincidence. I think we've proven it's not a coincidence just by the numbers. It's not, I don't know what else to say about it. And it's unfortunate that we have casualties that take place at the hands of these sick people who want to run lives with their coding. It's just sick. But I think that as we continue to learn and decode this stuff, we can start to recognize their plans while they're happening. So one of the things that I put out, you guys can check out my other videos, is I put out, I believe that we're going to have a big false flag event in the Olympics. There's a lot of coding for the Olympics. It starts on 8-5, 8 plus 5 is 13, the unlucky number 13. It's in Brazil. They've been talking about Zika virus. They've been talking about how they don't have enough police to protect all the Olympians. I believe we're going to see a major false flag event in the Olympics or at the Olympics. And the only way I can think about stopping it is by praying and interceding. And that's what I've been doing. That's what I'll continue to do. It's really going into August because I think I found a date that we can expect that to happen. When I release that later on, I'm still trying to do some coding on it. But this is coding. Just taking the news that they give us, the mainstream news, they highlight things and tell us what to look at. We never thought about looking at it before. We might not have understood that we can break words down into numbers. Numbers again, are something that is a language that can be used. A lot of people use numbers and language. Again, we can think about the police. They use numbers. They call in the dispatch and say, hey, we got a 225 on such and such, or we got a 187 or whatever. Numbers are used as a language. It's just a matter of us learning that language. It's an old language. It's a language that's been around forever. Way before English, they would use signs and symbols and numbers to communicate. And the same way that I can say hi, or the same way I can, salute, those are signs that mean something. And so the numbers mean something as well. And it's coding our words into numbers. We can start to connect some of the numbering system that they use they've been using for centuries. And we may be able to stop some of the things that they want to have. If nothing else, we'll be able to understand that we don't have to get emotional about every story that we see. If nothing else, if you don't do any research, whatever the case may be, you can at least know I'm not just going to fly off the cuff because I see something else happen. Let me at least look and see, is this connected to 44? Is this connected to 33? If so, then I know that it was a staged event, a controlled psyop to control our mind, to get us to do, or to sway us to do what they want us to do. Again, the goal for them is for us to be in conflict. The last thing that they want is thinking people. The last thing they want is for all of the poor people who they oppress to come together and say, enough of this shit. That's the last thing that they want. So they want us to be divided in language. They want us to be divided in gender. They want us to be divided in class. They want us to be divided in religion. They want us to be divided in whatever division you can think about that'll cause us to have conflict with one another, which will ultimately cause chaos in the land. And if they have enough chaos in the land, then they can say, you know what, you guys are out of control. And so we want to bring control to this chaos, which we actually started. They started it. They want us to be in it so they can say, here's the solution for the chaos. Since you guys keep killing each other, you guys keep rioting and breaking down businesses and all this stuff, we're going to bring our people in, our boys, our association in, to control you, and we're going to take your guns away so that you can't fight back. Hey, any questions, man? This is, I don't know. I'm not trying to be too deep, man, but this is as real can get. And I know some people, I'm telling you, if you're a troll, I welcome you to the page, because if you leave trolling comments, it just means I'm doing the right thing. If you'd agree with me on everything I did, I knew I was doing the wrong thing. I don't need people that's agreeing with me all the time. That's okay. I don't need you to agree. As a matter of fact, if you get all nasty with me, that's fine too. It doesn't bother me. I'm far beyond that at this point. Got bigger fish to fry. I got people to bring aboard this ship so we can start to figure out exactly what we're up against. And it's the biggest, I don't know, it's like the biggest trick the devil ever pulled. These systems that have been set up to control us as people, which now we think about it. You go to school for 25 years to get in debt in order to pay that debt off for the rest of your life. You're under control. If you're under debt, then how many people are really going to protest until something changes when they got to pay the bills? They're not going to do it. They're under control that way. If you think about the police are not there to protect us. The police are there to control us. Think about it. Laws aren't there to make everything fair. If it was true, if that were true, then Hillary wouldn't be running for president right now. Trump wouldn't be running for president right now. He's an ex-offender of rape. She had confidential emails that came out of her system. If it were the same laws that apply to everyone in the land, then they wouldn't be running for president right now. Matter of fact, we got someone that's from the KKK. KKK. K is 11. 3 11s equals 33. KKK. All of this stuff is connected. But the Grand Master is running for senator. He's an ex-felon. When can you be an ex-felon and run for senator? How does that happen? Where does that work? Now, I didn't think that was possible in this land. But some people can supersede or above the law because they have power, money, and influence. Now, unfortunately, if you're an African American, it don't matter how much money you have. You are not above the law if you are African American. I mean, in some cases, O.J. Simpson, Simpson, what do you think that is in numerology? Oh, isn't that interesting? Simpson. Isn't that interesting? What is that? Oh, that's 40. Oh, I spelled it wrong. No wonder. What's Simpson in numerology? Simpson is 33. The Simpsons, the show that came on, 33, the cult of the 33. We thought we were just watching cartoons, but they were implanting subliminal messages into us while we're laughing. You get lies in the news and you get truth in entertainment. Let me say that again. You have lies in the news, but you have truth in entertainment. And if you're going to watch it, I don't care if you watch it, but if you're going to watch it, I want you to watch it with a critical mind, with an analytical mind, and you'll start to notice things like, I didn't know that was there before. I mean, it was a while ago. I started looking at cartoons like, man, they got a whole bunch of sexual innuendo in some of these cartoons. I used to watch this stuff when I was 5 years old. No wonder why I'm so promiscuous now. Shoot, they've been putting, terms of vagina and boobs and stuff in my face since I was 5 years old, watching cartoons. Man, if you got children, you have got to be careful. You're doing a good job of instilling things in them, but this biggest propaganda machine ever invented, the television, has a bigger impact on your children than you do if you don't know it. They're watching that thing 4 or 5 hours a day. If that's you, that's having a bigger impact on their mind than you talking to them for 1 hour a day. You got to flip that. You got to have a bigger impact on your kids than anything else if you want them to be raised the way that you want them to be raised, and that they're not influenced and they're not swept away from you because they've been indoctrinated with television, indoctrinated with the school system and things like that. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know who I'm talking to right now. I don't know why I'm telling you this, but it's important that you understand that. Like, as I get older, I'm seeing like, this is insane. These people are sick. So at any rate, I hope you guys enjoyed tonight. I wanted to go through that and really just show you some things and show you how you can find some of those things as well, just by paying attention and reading. It's not enough to just watch a little video and see all the actors that they have on there. It's about reading. She said MM was betrayed. She may have been sold a great story for her political career, and the establishment did not keep its word. No, she wasn't betrayed. I know you may think she was betrayed. Here's what's going to happen. She may lose her job as an attorney, but I can guarantee you she'll have another job as just as prosperous in the city. Think about it this way. When the banks, failed and all of those bankers had defrauded the American system and we bailed them out, the bankers didn't get fired. They got promoted. This was her ritual for promotion. So on the outside right now, we're going to see her take a little fall, take a little dip, be humiliated a little bit, But at the end of the day, you'll find later on, if you ever come back to look at her, she won't be in the news ever again. But if you ever look her up and see what she's got going on, you'll notice later on that she's got another prominent position. That's how it works. But we're gonna forget about it. In 3 months, she ain't going to even be in our brain to even go back. Let me check and see what Ms. Mosby's doing. Because they know we got short-term memory. And they know they're going to keep feeding us with more stories and more stories, that this story is going to get old. And we're going to be paying attention to the new story, that we won't go and check what happened with the old story. But you may, and you'll see later on. You'll see 6 months from now, 9 months from now, she's running some organization or she's doing some speaking somewhere. No, she's not done. she's part of 5 generations of law enforcement. She's not done. She played her part. She's going to have a little time that she's now. Don't think she's not getting paid while she's out of the limelight, and they'll put her right back up into a position of power because they need her in that power position because she knows the game. That's how they play. They make it look to us like something happened. And I'm not saying that I'm 100% correct. You have your own thought, and we'll see how it plays out. And hopefully we can come back to it and remember to come back to it later on, 6 months down the road. But more than likely, we're going to forget. It's going to be so much other chaos going on. So it says, remember the city was riding prior to Emma bringing the charges, indictment on the officers. So she was held as a prosecutor that's going to hold the murders accountable. Yeah, but yeah, she was held. She was Queen M, Queen 33. Queen 44, but them charges didn't hold, did they? And now she's getting prosecuted. Well, she was already they supposedly put that countersuit out last year in April. So, that's kind of how that is. But at any rate, Hope you guys enjoyed your time here. I'm not sure why the calculator didn't come up. There's another little calculator you guys can get, but go to Riding the Beast if you want to do a little bit more numerology. Hopefully it's helped. So when you guys see future videos, I miss some things in the video sometimes. I'm trying to go so fast, but you might catch some things. You can always email me or leave comments or whatever. Or you see a story that, you know, maybe you want me to go through, or maybe you see some things, we can always talk about it, because we need as many people as we can doing this type of work, which will never be taught in school, so that we can all come together and try to figure out what's next in the plans of those who own and control our society. And I think as we do that, we'll be able to find some solutions to actually overcoming them, really overcoming them, because now we know how they operate. Hey, I'm ERGJ, your conspiracy brother. I say this, guys, that it's your curiosity that you have to let lead you to truth. And as you do that, as you find truth, then it's truth. It'll set you free.